If you wake up heavy, foggy, and tired before the day has even started, that thick feeling around your middle that doesn't budge no matter how much rest you get, there's a chance your liver is quietly carrying more weight than it should. After 60, fat can build up in liver cells for years without a single symptom you can feel. The supplement aisle has answers for you, most of them between $30 and $90 a bottle, some with names that sound impressive. But the combination with the most actual research behind it for liver fat after 60 is probably already in your kitchen cabinet. It costs about $4 a month. And what's remarkable is this. The exact way to prepare it was written down in India 3,000 years ago. Modern science only caught up in 1998. This is one of those rare cases where ancient kitchens and modern labs agree. My friend today, I want to tell you about Eleanor. She's 68, lives in a small town outside Pittsburgh, and last spring she stepped out of her doctor's office holding a piece of paper she didn't understand. Stay with me because what she did next is the heart of this video. And there's one specific detail most people get wrong when they try this. The kind of detail that cancels the whole effect. I'll come back to that around the 10-minute mark. Before we go further, I want to be honest with you. I'm not a doctor. Nothing I'm sharing replaces a conversation with yours. This is information passed down and studied, not prescription. And if you take blood thinners, have gallbladder disease, or are scheduled for surgery in the next 2 weeks, please talk to your doctor before trying anything I describe today. There's a reason. We'll get to it. Eleanor is 68, retired schoolteacher, lives in a small town outside Pittsburgh with her husband of 43 years. She's a kind person who never made a fuss about her health. But last March, she went in for a regular checkup, and her doctor mentioned something she hadn't heard before. Her liver enzymes, the ALT and AST values on her blood panel, were elevated. Not dangerously, but enough that he ordered an ultrasound. The ultrasound showed something called fatty liver, grade 2 on a scale of 3. She told me later, sitting at her kitchen table, that the word fat on a medical paper hit her harder than she expected. Not the diagnosis itself, but what it meant about her own body. She'd been a healthy weight her whole life. She rarely drank. She ate vegetables. And somehow fat had been building up in her liver cells for years without her knowing. Her doctor told her what most doctors tell you. Cut sugar. Exercise more. Try to lose 10 pounds. He didn't mention any spice. He didn't mention the research that's been growing for over a decade out of Iran, India, and the United States. That isn't a criticism of him. Doctors have 10 minutes per patient and dozens of things to cover, so Eleanor did what many of us would. She went home, put on her glasses, and started reading. What she found with a notepad open on her kitchen table was a 2016 study in the journal Phytotherapy Research, led by a researcher named Yunus Panahi. They gave 77 adults with fatty liver a specific bioavailable form of turmeric daily for 8 weeks. The results were modest, but real. Liver fat measured by ultrasound was reduced in many of them. Liver enzymes improved, and the recipe was almost identical to one that had been used in Indian households for 3,000 years. Eleanor tried it. We'll come back to what happened. But first, I need to walk you through the why. Because the why is what separates this from another internet promise that disappears in 2 weeks. If anything I share today is helpful to you, the kindest thing you can do is hit the subscribe button. It tells YouTube to show videos like this to more people in their 60s and 70s who need them. That's all I ask. What I'm about to share in the next 2 minutes is the part most channels skip. The part that explains why 3 civilizations across 3,000 years all reached the same conclusion. To understand why this works, we have to go back 3,000 years. In ancient India, turmeric wasn't just a spice, it was medicine. In Sanskrit, it was called Haridra. The texts of Ayurveda, which were being written down around the time the Egyptian pyramids were already 1,000 years old, described turmeric as a liver-supporting herb. But here is the part that matters. They never recommended taking turmeric alone, always with black pepper, always with a fat, usually ghee, which is clarified butter, or coconut oil in the southern regions. This wasn't decoration. This wasn't tradition for tradition's sake. The Ayurvedic physicians had watched something across generations. Turmeric by itself didn't seem to do much. Turmeric with black pepper and a fat did. So that's how they prepared it. They called the principle anupana, meaning after water, referring to what you take a substance with to help your body absorb it. Traditional Chinese medicine, which developed almost entirely independently, came to nearly the same conclusion. They used turmeric for what they described as damp accumulation in the liver, and they prepared it with warming spices like ginger and pepper, often cooked into broth or rendered animal fat. The Persian physician Avicenna, writing in the 11th century, gave similar guidance. Combine with pepper, combine with fat. 3 different civilizations, different languages, different climates, different religions, the same recipe. For 3,000 years, that should make you pause. Because they didn't have the science to know why. They only knew that it worked. Here is what they could not have known. Imagine your liver as the cleaning crew of a very busy restaurant. Every night after the restaurant closes, this crew has 2 main jobs. Phase 1 is the rough wash. They scrape the worst of the grime off the dishes, the counters, the pans. Phase 2 is the careful wrap and discard. They take all that nasty scraping, package it up, label it, and put it in the right bin so the garbage truck can take it away in the morning. Now, in our bodies, phase 1 and phase 2 are real things. Real biochemistry. Scientists call them the liver detoxification pathways. Phase 1 breaks down things like alcohol medications, environmental toxins, and hormones your body has finished with. Phase 2 takes what phase 1 produced, which is sometimes even more reactive than what you started with, and binds it to molecules that make it safe to eliminate. Glutathione is one of those binding molecules. Glucuronic acid is another. Sulfate is a third. Here is the part that matters for us. After 60, both phases slow down. The cleaning crew gets fewer workers, they get older, and phase 2 slows more than phase 1. Which means the rough scrapings sometimes sit there, not packaged, not removed. They start to react with liver cells, they contribute to inflammation, and over years they help fat accumulate in liver tissue. Curcumin, which is the active compound in turmeric, does something specific in research. It supports phase 2 enzymes. It helps the cleaning crew. Studies suggest it can support glutathione production. It can help what scientists call the antioxidant response. But there is a catch. Curcumin by itself, in plain water or tea, is barely absorbed. Your gut throws most of it out before it ever reaches your liver. This is why traditional Indian preparation always included black pepper and fat. They didn't know the chemistry. They knew the result. In 1998, a small but important study at St. John's Medical College in Bangalore was published in the journal Planta Medica. The researchers did something simple. They gave volunteers curcumin. Then they gave another group curcumin with a tiny amount of piperine, the active compound in black pepper. They measured what reached the bloodstream. The result is one of the most cited findings in nutritional pharmacology. Piperine increased curcumin absorption dramatically. The often quoted figure is around 2,000%, though it came from one small study, and more research is still being done. What's not in doubt is the principle. Here is exactly what Eleanor did, and what the Indian tradition and the modern research both point to. 1 teaspoon of pure ground turmeric, not curry powder, not a blend with rice starch filler. Pure turmeric, the kind sold in small jars for around $4. 1/4 teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper. Fresh matters here. Pre-ground pepper loses much of its piperine over months in the cabinet. 1 teaspoon of a healthy fat. Coconut oil works well. Olive oil works. Ghee works if you can find it. Even a piece of avocado will do. Stir them together into a small paste. Then mix into warm water, a smoothie bone broth, or a yogurt. Take it with a meal, not on an empty stomach. The food itself helps absorption further, and it protects your stomach lining. Once a day, same time. Morning is what most people find easiest with breakfast. Now the detail I promised you earlier, the one that cancels the whole effect if you miss it. Many people who try turmeric mix it into skim milk or fat-free yogurt. They think they're being healthy. But curcumin needs fat to be absorbed. Without the fat, even the pepper trick doesn't help much. So if you're using yogurt, use full fat. If smoothie, add the coconut oil or a spoon of nut butter. Don't skip this step. Without fat, you've made an expensive yellow drink that does very little for your liver. Now let me speak directly to a few of you because one recipe doesn't fit everybody. If you are over 70, start with half the dose. A 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. Work up over 2 weeks. Your stomach lining is thinner. Your medication list is usually longer, and a gentler start is wiser. If you take warfarin or another blood thinner, please do not start this without speaking with your doctor first. Curcumin can mildly increase the effect of blood thinners. It is not a major concern at culinary doses, but at daily therapeutic amounts. It deserves a conversation. If you have gallbladder disease, gallstones, or have had your gallbladder removed, the bile-stimulating effect of turmeric can sometimes trigger discomfort. Talk with your doctor first. If you have diabetes and are on glucose-lowering medication, check your blood sugar more closely the first 2 weeks. Curcumin may support insulin sensitivity. That's generally a good thing. But combined with medication, your numbers may dip lower than usual. And if you are on chemotherapy or scheduled for any surgery, do not take this without explicit approval from your treating physician. There are timing concerns only they can advise on. I want to be honest with you about something most channels won't say plainly. This is not a magic bullet. The phytotherapy research study I mentioned showed modest improvements over 8 weeks. Not miracles. Liver fat doesn't disappear in a week. Most studies follow people for 8 to 12 weeks, and the improvements, while real, are partial. Some people respond more, some less. A few don't respond at all. This combination cannot fix a diet built mostly on processed seed oils, added sugar, and ultra-processed food. The spice supports your liver. It doesn't override what you put in your body the other 23 hours of the day. If your liver enzymes are seriously elevated, or you've been told you have grade 3 fatty liver or cirrhosis, this is not the intervention you need on its own. You need a hepatologist. Use this only as a small supportive piece of a larger plan they design with you. And finally, this won't replace a medication that is keeping you alive. If you're on something for cholesterol, blood pressure, or blood sugar, please keep taking it. Talk to your doctor about adding this alongside, not instead. What happened with Eleanor? She did the turmeric paste every morning for 10 weeks. She also started walking 20 minutes after dinner 4 nights a week. She cut back on the cookies her grandchildren always left at her house. Small things, consistent things. When she went back for her follow-up ultrasound, her grade 2 fatty liver had improved to grade 1. Her liver enzymes had come down into the normal range. Her doctor asked her what she had changed. She told him. He listened. He didn't promise her anything, but he said keep going. That's the honest version of this story. Not a miracle, not a cure. A small, ancient practice that does what it was designed to do when you give it consistency and a clean enough kitchen to work alongside. So here is what I want to leave you with, my friend. The $4 combination on your spice shelf has more research behind it for liver fat after 60 than most of what the supplement aisle is selling. Used the right way with the pepper and the fat, taken with a meal every morning alongside a diet that doesn't undo the work, it may help. If you've stayed with me this long, leave a comment with one word. Just one. The food you cooked most often with your mother or grandmother. I read these. They mean something to me. And if you found this helpful, share it with one person over 60 who you care about. Take care of yourself. Your liver has been working for you a long time. It is a fine thing to give it a little help in return.